The Palace of Mafra is a monumental Baroque and Italianized Neoclassical palace-monastery located in Mafra, Portugal, some 28 kilometers from Lisbon. Construction began in 1717 and was completely concluded in 1755. The palace was classified as a national monument in 1910, and was also one of the finalists of the Seven Wonders of Portugal. History. The palace, which also served as a Franciscan monastery, was built during the reign of King John V, as consequence of a vow the king made in 1711, to build a convent if his wife, Queen Mary Anne of Austria, gave him offspring. The birth of his first daughter, Princess Barbara of Braganza, prompted construction of the palace to begin. The palace was conveniently located near royal hunting preserves, and was usually a secondary residence for the royal family. This vast complex is among the most sumptuous Baroque buildings in Portugal, and at 40,000 square meters, one of the largest royal palaces. Designed by the German architect João Frederico Ludovice, the palace was built symmetrically from a central axis, occupied by the basilica, and continues lengthwise through the main facade until two major towers. The structures of the convent are located behind the main facade. The building also includes a major library, with about 40,000 rare books. The basilica is decorated with several Italian statues and includes 6 historical pipe organs and 2 carillons, composed of 92 bells. Construction. The exact site was chosen in 1713 and purchased in 1716. Construction began by the laying of the first stone on November 17, 1717, with a grand ceremony in the presence of the king, his entire court and the Cardinal Patriarch of Lisbon. Initially it was a relatively small project for a friary of 13 Capuchin friars, who were to observe strict poverty. However, when the flow of gold from the Portuguese colony of Brazil started to arrive in Lisbon in abundance, the king changed his plans and announced the construction of a sumptuous palace along with a much enlarged friary. This immense wealth allowed the king to be a generous patron of arts. He appointed a German goldsmith, Johann Friedrich Ludwig, as his architect. Ludwig had studied architecture in Rome and knew contemporary Italian art. The extent of Ludwig's responsibility is unclear, as several other architects were involved in this project. The Milanese builder Carlos Baptista Garbo, Custodio Vieira, Manuel da Mar, and even his own son Antonio. However, the application of the same architectural style over the whole building suggests the work of Ludwig as the head architect in charge of the Royal Office of Works. Construction lasted 13 years and mobilized a vast army of workers from the entire country, under the command of Antonio Ludovice, the son of the architect. In addition, 7,000 soldiers were assigned to preserve order at the construction site. They used 400 kilograms of gunpowder to blast through the bedrock for the laying of foundations. There was even a hospital for the sick or wounded workers. A total of 1,383 workers died during the construction. The facade is 220 meters long. The whole complex covers 37,790 square meters with about 1,200 rooms, more than 4,700 doors and windows, and 156 stairways. When complete, the building consisted of a friary capable of sheltering 330 friars, along with a royal palace and a huge library of 40,000 books, embellished with marble, exotic woods and countless artworks taken from France, Flanders and Italy, which included 6 monumental pipe organs and the 2 carillons. The basilica and the convent were inaugurated on the day of the king's 41st birthday on October 22, 1730. The festivities lasted for 8 days and were of a scale never seen before in Portugal. The basilica was dedicated to Our Lady and to Saint Anthony. However, the building was not finished. The lantern on the cupola was completed in 1735. Work continued till 1755, when the workforce was needed in Lisbon by the devastations of the Lisbon earthquake. History. The palace was not occupied permanently by the royalty, who considered the rooms too gloomy. Nonetheless, it was a popular destination for the members of the royal family who enjoyed hunting in the nearby game preserve, the Tarpardon National de Mafra. During the reign of King John VI, the palace was inhabited for a whole year in 1807. The king was responsible for a partial renovation of the building by some well-known artists. However, with the French invasion of Portugal in 1807, the royal family fled to Brazil, taking with them some of the best pieces of art and furniture in the building. Marshal Junot took up residence in the palace, to be driven out in turn by Wellington. In 1834, after the Liberal Wars, Queen Maria II ordered the dissolution of the religious orders and the convent was abandoned by the Franciscans. During the last reigns of the House of Braganza, the palace was mainly used as a base for hunting. In 1849, the monastery part of the building was assigned to the military, a situation still in use today. The last king of Portugal, Manuel II, following the proclamation of the Republic, left on 5 October 1910 from the palace to the nearby coastal village of Ericeira on his way to exile. The palace was declared a national monument in 1907. At present, the building is conserved by the Portuguese Institute of the Architectonic Patrimony, which carried out several recovery programs, including the conservation of the main facade. A major restoration of the historical pipe organs began in 1998 with the collaboration of foreign experts and was finished in 2010. The restoration won the Europa Nostra 2012 award. Description: Facade: the imposing facade, built of local limestone, is 220 meters long and faces the town of Mafra. At each end of the facade stands a square tower with a bulbous dome, such as found in Central Europe. The church, built in white marble, is located in the center of the main facade, symmetrically flanked on both sides by the royal palace. The king, wishing to rival the splendor of Rome, had sought architectural advice from his ambassador to the Vatican, who sent him small-scale models of important Roman religious buildings. The Benedictine balcony at its center is clearly mirrored on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. But this balcony is rather intended for the king, as a symbol of his power, than for the benedictions by a prelate. The two church towers are inspired by the towers of St. Agnes in Agon. The two carillons contain a total of 92 church bells, founded in Antwerp. The story goes that the Flemish bell founders were so astonished by the size of the commission that they asked to be paid in advance. The king retorted by doubling the offered amount. These carillons constitute the largest historical collection in the world. The two towers are connected by two rows of Corinthian columns. The top row contains the statues of St. Dominic and St. Francis, sculpted out of Carrara marble, standing in a niche on each side of the balcony. The lower row contains the statues of St. Anne and St. Elizabeth of Hungary. Basilica: the church is built in the form of a Latin cross with a length of 63 meters. It is rather narrow, an impression accentuated by the height of its nave. The vestibule contains a group of large sculptures in Carrara marble, representing the patron saints of several monastic orders. The interior makes abundantly use of local rose-colored marble, intermingled with white marble in different patterns. The multicolored designs of the floor are repeated on the ceiling. The barrel vault rests on fluted Corinthian semi-columns standing between the side chapels. The chapels in the transept contain altarpieces in jasper made by sculptors from the school of Mafra. The side aisles display 58 marble statues commissioned from the best Roman sculptors of the time. The All Saints' Chapel in the transept is screened from the crossing by iron railings with bronze ornaments made in Antwerp. The choir has a magnificent giant candle holder with 7 lamps sprouting from the mouth of 7 rolled-up snakes. Above the main altar, inserting into the ceiling, is a gigantic jasper crucifix of 4.2 meters, flanked by 2 kneeling angels, made by the school of Mafra. The cupola over the crossing was also inspired by the cupola of St. Agnes in Agon. This 70 meters high cupola with a small lantern atop is carried by 4 finely sculpted arcs in rose and white marble. There are 6 organs, 4 of which are located in the transept, constituting a rather uncommon ensemble. They were built by Joaquim Perez Fontaines and Antonio Xavier Machado Cervera between 1792 and 1807. They were made out of partially gilded Brazilian wood. The largest pipe is 6 meters high and has a diameter of 0.28 meters. King John V had commissioned liturgical vestments from master embroiderers from Genoa and Milan, such as Giuliano Saturni and Benedetto Salandri, and from France. They attest of superb quality and workmanship by their embroidering in gold technique and the use of silk thread in the same color. The religious paintings in the basilica and the convent constitute one of the most significant 18th-century collections in Portugal. They include works by the Italians Agostino Masucci, Corrado Jacinto, Francesco Trevisani, Pompeo Batoni, and some Portuguese students in Rome such as Vieira Lusitano and Inácio de Oliveira Bernardes. The sculpture collection has works by almost every major Roman sculptor from the first half of the 18th century. At the time, it represented the biggest single order done by a foreign power in Rome and still is amongst one of the biggest collections in existence. Monastery. The rectangle behind the church and the palace houses the monastery of the Franciscan monks of Arabida order with cells for about 300 friars in long corridors on several floors. Between 1771 and 1791 this monastery was occupied by the hermit friars of St. Augustine. Royal Palace. The spacious royal apartments are situated on the 2nd floor. The apartments of the king are situated at the end of the palace, while the apartment of the queen is 200 meters away at the other end. Such was this distance that, when the king left his apartment towards the apartment of the queen, this was announced to the queen by the sound of a trumpet. His King John VI had taken with him some of the best pieces of art and furniture in the building when the royal family fled in 1808 for the advancing French troops to Brazil. Most rooms had to be redecorated in the original style. The hunting trophy room is decorated with numerous skulls of deer. The furniture is constructed of antlers and covered with deer skin, and even the candle holders are made of deer antlers. The Benediction gallery borders at the upper level of the basilica. The royal family could here attend mass seated at a window opening into the basilica. The bust of John V in this hall is a work of the Italian Alessandro Giusti. The throne room, the guard room, and the room of Goddess Diana are decorated with murals by artists such as Cirilo Wogmar Machado, Bernardo Oliveira Goes, and Vieira Lusitano. Library. The Rococo Library, situated at the back of the 2nd floor, is truly the highlight of this palace, rivaling the grandeur of the Library of the Melkabi in Austria. Austria, built by Manuel Catano de Souza. This library is 88 meters long, 9.5 meters wide and 13 meters high. The magnificent floor is covered with tiles of rose, grey and white marble. The wooden bookshelves in Rococo style are situated on the side walls in 2 rows, separated by a balcony with a wooden railing. They contain over 36,000 leather-bound volumes, attesting of the extent of Western knowledge from the 14th to the 19th century. Among them are many valuable bibliographical jewels, such as incunabula. These beautiful finished volumes were bound in the local workshop in the Rococo style. The library was used in Gulliver's Travels as the great chamber of war for the Emperor of Lilliput. Mafra School of Sculpture. The Mafra School of Sculpture was founded during the reign of King Joseph I of Portugal, successor of King John V. As the Mafra National Palace had a great need for sculptors, local and from abroad, it became the location of a sculpture academy headed by the Italian Alessandro Giusti. Among the teachers were several important sculptors, such as José de Almeida, Claude de la Prade and Giovanni Antonio da Padova. The academy was awarded many commissions by the Augustinians from the monastery, resulting in the many marble statues and retables in marble and jasper in the basilica. This academy produced several generations of Portuguese sculptors, such as Joaquim Machado de Castro. Gallery.